Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us on Survival Chicks, new podcast today. Today, I've got my friend Brian. Brian is from Survival Gear BSO, Bushcraft Survival Outfitters, and Waypost. And so he is fully trained and he has all kinds of events that he does throughout the year. And I'm really excited to talk to you today, Brian. Thanks for joining us.
Renee, thanks for having me. I've been looking forward to having the podcast with you. You and I have been chatting for quite some time now, so I'm very honored to be on the podcast. Thanks so much for having me.
Hey, well, I'm honored that you're here. I met Brian doing some survival chick stuff, and he and his company has been so awesome to us. And yeah, we've just kept talking ever since. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We have. We've grown a great partnership together. One thing that's missing a large footprint in this industry are females blazing the way, and you're one of the few, one of the elite. And then that's the reason why I really jumped. I jumped at the opportunity to partner with you because there are so few females that actually really carry the torch and push forward in this industry. And we need more of that. We really need more of that.
Yeah, I think that's really why I got started with what it is that I'm doing is because there's a lot of my friends who are single. And just in the last 3 years, the events that we have gone through here, just in Canada and British Columbia, scared us. And they were like, what are we gonna do? I live alone in a condo in the city. I can't grow my own food or whatever. Everybody had a different situation, but they're like, what are we gonna do? And I thought, oh, these girls are awake and they've not had to think about this kind of thing before. And so neither did I, to be honest with you. So this is new for me too.
Awake but not woke, right? Awake but not woke.
Definitely. Correct. Yes, big difference.
Huge difference.
Yeah. Awake to what is going on with our country and the government and where they are taking us as opposed to fighting for some cause that I don't really know where it started.
I don't think any of us really really know where it started, nor do any of us know where it's going to wind up. All we can do is, do the best that we can do and have the greatest influence that we can have right now with what we do in our daily lives or our work day and the
Yeah.
industry we're in. And I'm someone who came from a different industry, several different industries. So in the fitness industry, I worked construction for many years. And then, I was just kind of tired of being in a 10 by 10 white walled room with fluorescent lighting, looking at blueprints all day and listening to some old guy's AM radio from down the hall. I'm like, if I have to do this for the next 30 years of my life, I'm going to blow my hat off. So
Yeah.
I got to get out. There wasn't even a window. There was no windows where I was at.
Ugh.
Yeah, it was horrible. I mean, I prayed
Ugh.
for a storm because a severe storm, because that was the only time that I knew something was going on outside, that I knew the outside world existed. When I could hear the thunder, I could hear the lightning, I could hear the wind. So I would sit in my office damn near every day and just pray that there was some sort of storm and get excited about it. So it was time to leave. It was time to
Yeah.
find another path in life. And I did a little 5 day intro to survival where I was permitted to take some modern amenities, a tent, a sleeping bag, what's the name, a jet boil, some things like that. And
Why did you think that you did that then? Like what was the curiosity to do that?
just what I had explained. I was tired of just being locked up indoors with synthetic lighting and seeing no
Okay, so
wind.
you just wanted to be in nature.
I wanted to be in nature. Yeah. So my parents were um they they took us camping once that I remember. It was the first and the last time. And we showed up. I think it was no, I have two sisters. I have a twin sister, and I have a sister who's 2 years younger than I am. And my twin and I think it was probably our ninth or 10th birthday, and my parents took us camping. And my mother, I think, prepped everything. My father was working all day, and he came home from work. We packed up the car, we headed out, drove an hour, 2 hours, whatever it was. And we got there, and my father started setting up the tent. And he said to my mother, "Where are the poles?" My mother said, "Poles? What poles?" So that was the kind of the beginning of the end there. There were no poles. She had forgotten the poles at home. So he rigged something up. my mother and the three of us slept in the tent, and he slept outside in the grass, and it just it's kind of a comedy of errors. It was the first time and the last time we ever went camping, and I really didn't spend any time outdoors until I got into my mid 20s or late 20s, and I really, really enjoyed it. Did some whitewater rafting, did some camping, did some hiking, and I just wanted to get back into it. I wanted to spend some time in nature and just have some life experiences. Being locked up in a 10 by 10 white walled room with fluorescent lighting all day was not a life experience that I wanted to continue anymore.
Yeah. Heck yeah. I've been down that path.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you took this 5-day course.
I did. I took the 5-day course and just to see how I'd like it. Like I said, a tent, a sleeping bag, some modern amenities. And I completely fell in love with it. And I went back about 5.5 months later for the instructor course. It was 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness. No tent, no sleep.
What?
Oh, yeah. 40 days, 40 nights straight.
No tent, no sleeping bag?
No tent, no sleeping bag, no blankets. You're building your own shelters. You're sleeping in your shelters. You're fortifying your shelters day and night, cold enough. Fortunately, this was, I think, mid-April through the end of June. So the weather wasn't too bad. And they had 2 instructor candidate courses that went on. One of them was in the colder months and one of them was in the warmer months. So I did the warmer months. Now, you have certain things you have to battle in one class versus the next. So I had to battle the bugs. It being warm, the warm temperatures, sweating like crazy, the sweaty feet, which if anybody who's listening to this has spent any significant amount of time outdoors, if you can't dry your feet out, you're in trouble. You're really in trouble. So you have to deal with that in the spring course, but in the winter course, that ended, I want to say mid-December, and you're out there doing things. You don't get a reprieve to go home on Thanksgiving. You're there through Thanksgiving. Well, you have to deal with the cold. You have to deal with the snow. So it's like, what do you want to deal with? Do you want to deal with freezing your rear end off, or do you want to deal with the bugs that are going to eat you alive? So I opted for the bugs that were going to eat me alive.
Yeah.
Also, if I didn't show up for Thanksgiving, my mother was going to murder me. So really, really wasn't much of a choice. But yeah, I went out and no tent, no sleeping bag. 40 days, 40 nights. It was pretty intense. At one point, there was actually the remnants of a tornado that was coming through. I was in the Ozark mountain range. I was in Arkansas, Huntington, Arkansas at the time. And the owner of the school came out and said, listen, there's been a lot of talk, a lot of worry about the tornado that's coming through. Yes, it's supposed to touch right on top of us. So this is the first time we've ever done this. If you guys want to take shelter in my house, you can come up to my house. It's about 450 yards away from the base camp. You can come up to the house and you can come indoors. Otherwise, you're on your own. So a couple of the guys said, we're out of here. We have kids, we have family. And the rest of us just said, it's just us. Who cares? So let's tough it out. And if we get killed, we get killed. So we stuck it out and we stayed out there. And it was wild. I mean, it was really wild. A few times I thought we were going to get I thought our lives were going to end with a couple of widow makers. Widow makers is one of the 5 W's you want to look for whenever you're going out in the wilderness, or widow makers. Large branches or standing dead, as they say, dead trees that could blow over with a strong gust of wind and end up, collapsing on top of you. And that was definitely a concern during that time period. Was, hey, are we crushed by a widow maker? But hey, we all made it. We all made it out of there. Nobody was injured. Nobody was killed. We live to bushcraft another day.
Crazy.
Yeah, I've had some wild experiences. That was one of the first I've had. Some pretty crazy stuff went on in that school. I was attacked in the middle of the night by 4 coyote. Just crazy stuff with nothing but a knife to fend them off. Pretty cool stories to tell the nieces and nephews. Yeah.
That's insane. A pack of coyotes.
Yeah, well, fortunately, it wasn't any more than 4. Now, I was going through a period called Scout Week where they kind of drive you a few hours away from where we had been at the base camp. And we had kind of a caravan of vehicles that are going out. And I think probably throughout the course of the week, about half of the class dropped out. They just said, I can't do this anymore. and you get out of the vehicle and they pat you down, no lighters, no granola bars, no headlamps, anything like that. And then they just say, here's your knife. Good luck. We'll see you in a week. And you have a list. They give you a sheet of certain projects like homework that you have to accomplish. Waterproof shelter, purifying water, making, 25 or 50 foot of primitive rope that can hold up to 50 pounds, things like that. And when you do these projects, you can earn things like, I know if you do two of the projects, you can earn a canteen. So you get that canteen, or you can earn a poncho, or you can earn a ferro rod, something like that. So everybody's really working on things as quickly as they can. That was the time period when I was approached by for a coyote in the middle of the night. There was really no food around. There were, I think at this point, about 12 to 15 of us, and we were scattered throughout. We had driven from the Ozark Mountain Range to the Ouachita Mountain Range, from Arkansas to Missouri. The climate was pretty much the same, but we had a difficult time finding food. Once you get a pack of people that go in there, 12 to 15 people, the animals know you're there. The birds know you're there. The squirrels know you're there. And they all talk to one another. Nature talks, they talk amongst themselves, and they're aware that you're there, and they stay out of the area. You're in their home, you're intruding in their home, and they stay out of the area until you leave. And we really couldn't find any food at all. One of the tasks we had was procuring 5 pounds of meat. Well, 5 pounds of meat between 12 and 15 participants, that's a lot of protein. That's a lot of meat. And when you have nothing but a pond, and I think like, a couple of frogs, a couple of turtles, there were two guys who saw a squirrel from quite a distance. It's tough. It's really tough. And after about 4 or 5 hours of being there, it started a 3-day torrential downpour. It didn't stop for 3 days. So anybody trying to get primitive fire was extremely difficult. In the middle of the night, once you get primitive fire, you are petrified your fire is going to go out, because you have to stay warm 24/7, especially in the middle of the night. And I had backed myself up. I kind of went on the other side of the ridge from the other guys I was with, and I backed myself up against two trees that had fallen down, one on top of the other. So I took my poncho off, and I kind of created an awning, if you will, and I backed myself up there. I was able to make a bow drill fire. So I got my primitive fire, and I just get feeding the fire and feeding the fire and feeding the fire. And once you fall asleep, you're so afraid that fire is going to go out, and you're going to have to start another primitive fire, another friction fire again, which is very difficult, especially in wet conditions, for an amateur, that your body kind of wakes itself up every few hours. And you say, I don't want to start.
Sure.
So you start feeding the fire and feeding the fire. So I was probably about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I woke up, and is the fire out? And I'm seeing some embers there. And I thought, okay, I still have embers. I'm good to go. I have my fuel sources, my sticks over here. I start feeding the fire to kind of bring it to a roar again. Now, I hadn't even come anywhere close to a roar. And I heard some leaves rustling. And I'm like, oh, God, please let that be a turkey. Please let it be something. And I've got my knife out, and I'm going to use my stapler here as a knife because I'm at my desk. I've got my knife out, and please let that be a turkey. And I hear it's coming closer, and the leaves, the movement becomes more erratic. And I eventually realized that's not a turkey. It's moving too swiftly, and there's too much noise. And then I hear the snorting. And I knew it was coyote at that point. Coyote, tomato. And they started, I didn't know how many there were, and they started coming closer to my fire. My fire hadn't really become brilliant yet, it hadn't become bright, but I could see the eyes as they came up, and it was 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I could see the eyes. And thank God,
Oh man.
I only had to cover 180 degrees because I had
Yeah.
all the trees behind me. Thank God. If I had to cover 360, I really would have been in trouble. And they came up, and they started kind of creeping closer and closer. So I stood up, and I made myself as big as I could, and I started barking and snarling like a wild animal myself, like a dog. And I kind of charged at him, and took my knife and swung at him like crazy. And three of the four turned around and bolted. The fourth one stood his ground, so I knew who the alpha was. And it's like, it's either I turn around and back up and he comes at me and the other three come, or I just charge at him and hope for the best, So that's what I did. And fortunately, I'm here to tell the story. So it was pretty wild. And the next day, all the guys, we kind of met up on top of the hill, and every morning. And some of the guys said, who heard the barking and the snarling last night? Somebody said, Brian, it sounded like you. And I said, it was me. And I told him what happened. And, half of the guys were like, man, that's wild. That's the wilderness testing you and you won. I said, no, that was not wild. That was scary as, that was not a comforting feeling at all. But it's kind of a cool story in the end. Thank God. It's a cool story. Yes.
Did you end up killing it, the coyote?
No, but I thought about that. I'm like, no, I could never run down a coyote. No human being could run down a coyote. I thought to myself, if I could run and grab that coyote, even if I could get him, if I got a hold of him and his buddies, his crew, his other three, heard him squealing, they would turn around and come at me, and then I would be done. There's no way I could fight off three, even if I had injured one. I just couldn't do it. They're too aggressive. They're too wild. So I lived. I didn't sleep the rest of the night, but
No.
I lived.
How could you?
I lived the bushcraft another day, so it was a pretty wild story. And like I said, it's something that amuses the nieces and the nephews. So I have some fun with it.
Nice.
Yes, I've had some
That's
fun experiences.
a great story that most
And
of
now,
us have not had.
yeah. Well, I tell you, you're pretty secluded up there. And
I'm not
what's
wrestling any coyotes.
maybe not today. You never know what tomorrow's going to bring.
No, but I will say, so on this side of the water here, we've got bears. So I set up cameras outside just to see what's going on, and we definitely have some bears. But now that I have Ruby the dog, Ruby keeps the bears at bay. They rarely come down to the property anymore. And we saw a deer like the first year and a coyote the first year. That's it. That is it. There's no elk. There's nothing. There's nothing. Oh, excuse me. There are cougars. There's at least one exceptionally large cougar. I haven't seen him on my camera, but a neighbor of mine catches him on her camera all the time, and he is massive. His tail goes all the way down to the ground and curls up at the end. He's huge. But so just the other day, believe this or not, the other day, so I have chickens and I have ducks, and sometimes they make a lot of noise. So I'm in the bedroom up top, and I'm like as far away from the chickens and ducks as I could be, and I hear them all going off, like they're going wild. And I'm like, I wonder what's going on. And I decide to look outside, even though usually I can't see anything from this vantage point. So I take a look outside, and I see one of my hens, and she is jumping in the ocean. And I'm like, I didn't know any of my hens were jumping in the ocean ever. I got to take a video of this. So I took a little video of her, and she's just swimming back towards the shore. And I'm like, okay, so now, okay, cool. And then I look back at the dog for a second, look back in the window, and I see what I think now is a coy wolf. He was huge. Like, so I don't know if you know what a coy wolf is, but it's like a coyote bred with a wolf. This guy was blonde. He was different looking than a normal coyote, and he was very girthy. Like his torso was just really thick, and he was in great shape. Like he's been eating well. Like, holy shit. So he's on the shoreline checking out my hen in the ocean. And I was like, oh man, we're gonna have to put the dog outside. So I opened the window. I was like, hey, and he was like, oh, and he ran off. And then I let the dog out, and she went wild. She barked. She chased him away. But he was a big boy. I haven't seen a coyote look like that ever. So I'm thinking it's a coy wolf.
And what time of day was this that you saw the coy wolf?
I think it was like I'm gonna say it was like late morning. Yeah.
Like,
No,
okay.
it wasn't even late morning. It was early-ish morning, probably more around like 8 o'clock in the morning.
Huh.
Because all the chickens hadn't been let out yet, so there's just a few of them that were out from last night. They like to sleep on the pen, not inside it.
And the cougar, when do you see the cougar?
I've never seen the cougar. He just gets caught on camera at night,
Yeah, I was
and he
gonna say,
doesn't get caught here. I haven't seen him on my property, thank goodness.
yeah, I figured you hadn't seen him. I was gonna say, watch, normally when I take my dogs out at night, I take them out every night to go to the bathroom. And, we don't have a very large threat of, of coyotes around here. There are some that are present, and we know that basically from the deer, the whitetail. There's a lot of whitetail in Pennsylvania, and the whitetail that have been mangled. And we have a very large whitetail
Mm,
population here, and the insurance for vehicles can tend to get a little out of crazy, or a little bit crazy here, a little out of hand in PA because so many people hit deer. I mean, it's nuts. Then you can tell when a deer is hit by a car versus when it's been mangled
yeah,
by coyote. So
yeah,
we know that we have them around here. Anytime once the sun sets and I take the dogs out, I make sure I stay close to them. They've got glow in the dark
yep.
collars on, things like that. So, be cognizant of that. Be careful letting them pop out because you don't want to let the dog out and the dog just not come back.
That's the thing. So she doesn't go out at night by herself.
Good.
So I just let her, she free roams during the day, but at night the rules are she's got to be inside.
And what's
Yeah.
her name?
Ruby.
Ruby, you said. Okay. What
Yeah, she's
kind of
sitting in
dog is
front of
Ruby?
me. What's that?
What kind of dog is Ruby?
She's a border collie.
Ooh, smartest of the breed. I know they get
Yeah,
a.
she's a really smart girl for sure. And people think they're so sorry.
So there's a little bit of a delay. I was going to say smartest of the breed. Every time they do a basically a study on the smartest breeds out there, border collie is usually number one or number two.
Yeah, and people think they're a super high energy breed, and they're like, "Oh, lots of energy in your dog." And I'm like, actually, she's sleeping right there. Like she's super calm. She's the calmest dog I've ever met. Yeah, she'll go hiking with me all day if I want to go hiking all day.
That's good. They're smart dogs. They're great dogs to have as companions. I've
She's
got
great.
I've got little shits here, so nothing exciting.
Aw.
So you've got chickens, you've got hens, you got Ruby there by your side. What else? Because you're basically doing the whole homesteading thing, right, Renee?
Yeah, basically, like that's the aim, Brian. That's what I'm trying to do. It's challenging, man. I picked up a little job over the summer because it was a great way for me to meet the community here because I didn't know anybody, and now I just know so many people. It's such a wonderful. It's been so wonderful for me. So, but having said that, there's just basically I come home and like every day I'm like, oh, what now? Like, what's happening with what's this? Oh, now I have to figure out how to fix this. Like, what is this? And then I spend time like problem solving like all day. And then I go to work and I come back and I go, what's this now? And there's stuff like that I would normally not be able to, that I would normally be able to get fixed by somebody else. But because I'm so remote and I'm so far, I'm not, the first thing to do isn't to grab the phone and call somebody because there isn't anybody to call. So it's to figure it out. So usually I open up Google and I'm like, hey, what do I do about this? There's
Google and
lots of problem
YouTube.
solving.
Google and
Yeah.
YouTube, you can learn almost anything.
Yes. And then growing food is actually more challenging than I thought. I used to have gardens back like when I lived closer to the city. And those did really well during the summer. But here we have like 4 months of drought at least, and we have torrential downpours when it's not drought season. So my bright idea was to create a greenhouse, but the conditions of the greenhouse are way like radically different than a garden. Okay, so I was doing that to keep the cats out because there was stray cats. Oh, I forgot to say there's stray cats everywhere. and I thought there were deer and there were slugs. So I put a greenhouse up, but now there's bugs inside the greenhouse, and then there's no bees very much on the property at all. So who's pollinating the greenhouse? Like there's all these things that I have to take into account that I, you know, don't really know how to do. So it's more challenging than I thought. I ended up buying a tower garden. So it's basically an indoor garden, a grow garden, and it's not more challenging than I thought. I'm not going to say that, but I wanted to push it to its limits, maybe, and maybe that's my fault because a lot of people grow lettuces and stuff, and I'm like, well, I want more hardy than lettuce, so I put in really big things like Brussels sprouts and broccoli, and they come out with these big stalks. It's a little bit overwhelming for the tower garden.
I
Yeah.
bet it is. No, I'm not gardening. We have someone on staff here full time, and she was a homesteader, 3.5 years off grid, no running water, no electricity. She grew everything. I mean, hardcore, and she could probably figure out if you got any questions. I'd be more than happy to connect you with her. She
That's
can probably
awesome.
figure out just about anything. And she always said to me, she's like, it's not about so much what you're trying to grow or not trying to grow, or what you're good at or what you're bad at. Uh, think about the soil. The soil is what you have to look at, the acidity in the soil, and obviously rotating your crops, whatever they might be. Um, and I think probably, what about, just basically based off of what you're saying there, for the drought, you said 3 to 4 months of drought, and then you have, a torrential downpour. What's your storage like for rainwater?
But it doesn't even make any sense to store rainwater. So I've thought about it. And the size of water capacity that you'd have to hold on to would be enormous just to get you through a month of conservative water use. And I need like 3 months of conservative water use. And so how you're storing them costs money. And then how you're hooking it up to your house costs money. And so at the end of the day, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So what I have been doing, so I do run out of water. So this year I ran out earlier than I was expecting to because it was before the mark that it was last year. So when I ran out of water, I was just like, okay, like not emotionally prepared for this, but fair enough. So I've got a little shitty well on the property, and it's always got a little bit of water in it. So I think it's like an artesian style kind of well. It's really short. It doesn't carry very much, but it's always got some in it. So what I ended up doing is putting a pump in there and pumping it up to my cistern, and I have enough water every day to do the basics. I can't do any laundry, but I can have a shower and do the dishes and flush and whatever. So it's been okay. It's just I have to pump water every day. I have to go down there every day and pump some water into the cistern. And so it's been raining now for 2 weeks, like not straight, obviously, but the creek still has no water in it. So where I usually get my water from, it's dry. So I don't know what's going on with that this year. That's an interesting concept. So I thought of like maybe trying to figure out where the well was coming from so I could pipe in directly from that, but I think it's an artesian type. I don't think it's dripping in. So yeah, there's lots of considerations. I was hoping to get a water storage system for next year, but since it doesn't really make any sense, I was looking into desalination because I am on the ocean and there would be an ample supply, but it's going to be a costly system, and then I need a pump system to bring it all the way up to the house, and there's lots of things to think about there. So, yeah.
Of course. Yes. So just from you describing it, you're overwhelmed. I mean, I'm halfway overwhelmed just listening to the challenges you have. Um, it's definitely a difficult, a challenging, I shouldn't say difficult, challenging life to live when you're as far away from the city and the suburbs as you are. There are some great freedoms, but there are also some obstacles, some hurdles to overcome.
Yeah. And I'm gonna say like what that does for me and what I would do to the average person, I think, is that I spend my time problem solving instead of what if I was in my condo in the city, I would just be eating dinner in front of the TV. That's what I would be doing. Right. So I don't have time. I don't even have a TV. I don't have time to sit and eat dinner in front of the TV. I have to think about um the chickens and pumping my water and the fridge that's been leaking and the whatever, right?
Yeah, you've got more than enough on your hands to handle there. More than enough problems. You don't need a TV to be a distraction.
No,
Well,
no,
one
I
of the things you
don't.
look at, I was looking into about a year and a half ago, some water storage systems. And well, I was just about to ask you if you ever watched the show Alone, but you don't have a TV.
No, I haven't, but I do know of it.
You know of it. So there's a guy on Alone, and he did phenomenally. I mean, he did so great. His name is Mike Lowe. I've chatted with Mike a few times over the phone, over Facebook, things like that. Such a great guy. He's been teaching survival skills since 1980. The year I was born, he's been teaching survival skills since then. Uh, Extremely talented, and he and his wife Barbara, actually on his bio on one of I don't know if it's Facebook, I can't recall if it's Facebook or Instagram. On his bio, his occupation is Barbara's husband. I mean, those two were just so madly in love. They're just like the epitome of what any couple would want to strive for. To be like in a relationship.
Aw.
Amazing. And he could have very easily won Alone, very easily. And he achieved, in his own words, during his time alone. I can't recall right now what season it was, but he said, "I have achieved modernity." He looked around. He said, "I have more than enough food. I have purified water." He actually had this hand or the foot pump sink, so he didn't have to, whenever he was processing fish or any game that he got, he didn't have to contaminate even. I have a water jug here. Even the handle on a water jug, because he had this whole thing rigged up with some primitive cordage he had and a foot pedal he whittled off of a gallon of water, a gallon of milk that he had found and washed up on shore. And he had washed his hands with this without ever having to touch anything. And he said, "I've achieved modernity." And he said, "I just miss my wife. I just miss my wife. That's it. I want to go home. I've had enough. I know I can outlast anybody here, but I miss my wife."
Yeah, sorry, technical difficulties.
That's
The water
okay.
jug contaminating, getting
You'll have
contaminated by the
it.
handle.
Yeah, Mike Lowe, phenomenal survivalist, and he had created a hands-free sink with either a water jug or a milk jug that had washed up on shore, and he made some primitive cordage and he whittled up a foot pedal and whatnot. And he actually was so bored that he had so much food, so much purified water, and he was so bored that he created a football game. Now, this is by himself. He created a football game with a chessboard that he had whittled and a couple of die, a set of dice. And he was just so far advanced with everything he had done there. And he just looked around and he said, "Well, I have achieved modernity. And all I need is my wife, Barbara, and I'm good." And he could have won the whole thing easily. Mike is such a great guy and he's so talented. And after a while, he just said, "I miss my wife. I want to go home." That's it. And so he left the show just because he missed Barbara. And they settled about a year, maybe 2 years ago in Arizona after traveling the country in an RV. And I believe she's a professor, and he was teaching wilderness skills. And finally, they had built their own home. They designed and built their own home, completely self-sufficient. And one thing he had, which I asked about, was water storage. So he had, I think it was at least 2 tanks. I may have had 3. I think it was 2, 920 gallons each. Collected rainwater, purified the water and whatnot. I believe he even had heated floors. I mean, just the coolest house. If you look up the guy on Facebook, Mike Lowe, or just Google Alone Mike Lowe, like, you'll find the guy. He's always big smiles. Just a really, really great guy. But he would be the guy to talk to if you're looking to kind of up your game as far as the water storage and water purification. But now that we're talking, for the listeners here and the watchers, Renee, when you and I got together, we decided, at least for Waypost Outdoors, we were going to develop the Survival Chicks box.
Yay!
You can't find this at Survival Gear. It's survivalgear.us, Survival Gear BSO, Bushcraft and Survival Outfitters. You can't find this at survivalgear.us, but you can find it at waypostoutdoors.com. And our new
Waypostoutdoors.com.
waypostoutdoors.com. So we've got 5 of these, and this is the one, that Renee and I have worked on to kind of develop here. So Renee, we're going to send you off one of these boxes, especially given the fact that you've worked with us to build this box and create the items.
I'm so excited.
And it's going to help you with the water purification. So a couple of the items, which, I recommended some items, you recommended some items. Of course, you have to have something that says survival chicks.
Yay, look at that.
We can, as far as the decals and whatnot, we couldn't get it exactly how you want it, but we've got a beanie.
It's beautiful. I love it.
And we got to have Mora knife. Anybody who knows Mora knife, Mora of Sweden, they are world renowned in the world of bushcraft and survival. This is the Mora Companion here. Is this one? This one, stainless steel, rubberized handle, and it's got a clip here for your belt loop. So your
so exciting.
Your number one item anytime you go off into the bush is a knife. As long as you have a reliable knife, you can do pretty much anything, provided you have the skills. Now, what you need is the Grail.
Look at that beauty.
This is the Ultra Press, 16.9 ounces. Now, they sell the Ultra Press Titanium. They just came out with less than a year ago. That's a little pricey. I recently got one myself. I did some trekking over in Ireland this past July, and I got it right before I went to Ireland. It was awesome. But the Ultra Press and the Geo Press are the two big ones here. So this is called the Midnight Granite, the Ultra Press, and the 16.9 ounces. The Geo Press is 24 ounces. Now, for each one of these units, it takes only 8 seconds to purify a full bottle of water here.
Wow.
All right, so since I'm going to send this to you, I'm going to clip this off. I haven't had a drink out of it, but just for the viewers, show you guys how this works.
So we can see.
Grail is the second best water purifier on the planet. I guess technically you could say it's on the planet. To my knowledge, the number one on the planet is made by NASA. So it might be on the planet, might not be on the planet. I don't really know. Technically, it's NASA, right? So I know one guy who has one. I'm not going to mention his name here because everyone who's watching and listening is going to be hitting this guy up saying, can I buy this? And I offered this guy about $400 for it, and he said, no way. It can filter the salt out of salt water. I mean, it's incredible.
Oh, that's what I need.
Yeah, that's what we all need, right? Now, this is NASA, and the guy didn't even blink at $400, so I couldn't imagine how he's not an astronaut.
Sure.
So I don't know how he got it. I don't know what he paid for it, but this is second best water purifier on the planet. Anytime there's a natural disaster, a hurricane, a tsunami, anything like that, where your clean water sources are compromised, they're going to outfit the employees, FEMA or the volunteers who come there to help. They're going to outfit them with a Grail. Now, when they ship off, military C-130s filled with tens of thousands of bottles of water, of clean water. But the people who are helping, they don't want those people to eat up those resources for the people they're trying to rescue, so they outfit them with the Grail. So it's very simple. Outer cup, inner cup, filter. There's the little lock for the filter there. Twist the filter off. This filter is good for about 350 pushes. I'll show you what I mean by push. You twist that on there. Put that down. Scoop up your dirty water here. Let me push this camera down. Now you want to release a little bit of that pressure on the cap. And you get on top of this bottle and you press down. That water is going to give you a little bit of resistance. It's going to take 8 seconds to push that all the way down. Boom. All you have to do is unscrew and drink.
That's cool.
About 17 ounces here, just about 17 ounces of purified water right off the bat. So it's really, really easy, really simple. A 3-year-old could use this quite literally. So we're gonna send that off to you, obviously, because you're having some water purification issues out your way for a couple of months out of the year. So hopefully this is gonna make life a little bit easier for you, Renee.
And it's probably really easy or really light to hold on to on your belt or something on your backpack too. Yeah. Like
It's
it's pretty
very light.
light. So you put water in it. Great.
I'm not sure what the I'm not sure what the weight is on this, but it's extremely light.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Cool.
really, really light. Yeah, you throw a carabiner on here. Oh, wait, 12.5 ounces. It's a little less than 10 inches tall. 12.9 ounces is what it weighs. Very, very light. Throw a carabiner on there
Excellent.
for a clip. Yeah. Also in your box, in the Survival Chicks box, is Foraging for Wild Foods, Self-Sufficiency. You're all about being self-sufficient. So
Yay.
this is actually one of our top selling books. We got 3 books that all kind of tie one another as far as foraging, wild edibles, wild medicinals, and this is one of our top sellers. So good choice.
Excellent.
And you hooked us up with Karen Morris for this a
Yeah.
year without the grocery store. So let me see if I can
Yeah.
pull that
There you go.
shot on the book there, so you guys can see it. Phenomenal book here. Where we're looking at about 100 pages from Karen. So if you're way out there, even if you're not way out there, and you're in the city, you're in the suburbs, and you just kind of want to start doing some practice, to be in a position like Renee is in, it's not easy. I'm sure you can attest to that, Renee. It's not easy. So start with the basics. Start with some practice.
Yeah. And she talks about how to do it on a budget too.
But I mean, everybody's on a budget, especially nowadays. You guys, yeah, being in Canada and myself being in the United States, things have not gotten any easier. The grocery bills keep going up, the fuel expenses keep going up, everything keeps going up. It doesn't look like that's going to change anytime soon.
No.
So things are getting more and more difficult. And then you had developed the Survival Chicks dehydrating. Some
Oh,
less,
guide. Yeah.
yeah. So we have
Blanching and dehydrating guides.
yes.
Look at
Now
us go.
that's one thing. And I was at the events this past weekend called the Central Ohio Outdoors Gathering. And I was talking with some homesteaders there about doing some dehydrating. And we're trying to get some advice on which dehydrators are the best, canning and dehydrating. And I know a number of people in the industry who have dehydrators. And there are, I mean, like anything else, there's a whole slew of them out there. And which is the most bang for the buck, or what are you going to get the most bang for the buck out of, and what's the most efficient, what's going to yield the biggest return whenever you go to dehydrate your foods. And there are some really great companies out there. Schwartz Foods being one of them. They do all dehydrated foods. They actually do dehydrated cheesecake. Don't get me started. I bought 8 bags. They're all gone. I just got home less than
Eight
48 hours.
bags.
They're gone. Gone. So good. So check out Heather with Schwartz Foods. I mean, they are really great. I think it's a SWARTZ, I believe, Schwartz Foods. Absolutely incredible company. But they have got, they got the license to do everything as far as, commercial food preparation and whatnot. But
Right.
I'm trying to get some advice as far as, what kind of dehydrator is going to be the best, and really do my research so I can put my money to the best possible place to get a canning machine and a
Get a
dehydrator.
canner.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I've got a couple years worth of food storage here in my home. I've got
Nice.
all sorts of methods for purifying water. There's a water source that's only a few miles from here, which I shouldn't have a problem at all with purifying water. But I obviously you can always be more prepared.
Yep.
So
Well, I don't have 2 years worth. So great work.
you're getting there. Right? But you have, how many chickens do you have?
I have 10 chickens.
Have you thought about getting rabbits?
I've thought about getting rabbits. Not right now.
No.
I have 4 ducks, and I lost a couple ducks. Actually, they flew away because I have one of them. I call her Freedom Duck. She's taken off and she flies up around the ocean. Okay, she does her little loop around the ocean and she comes back, and she does this every day, like 3 times a day. She's hilarious. And so I just call her Freedom Duck. But every once in a while, one of the other ducks, not that bright, they follow her out and they don't know how to get back. So I went and found one of them on the shores and brought him home. And then two of them just couldn't find. I did the shores several times, couldn't find them. So they're gone.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah. But the ducks also require like lots of water. They're way more upkeep than chickens, people. Way more upkeep. Chickens is the way to go. You don't need
Yeah,
to do anything with the chickens.
animals that, um, that replicate quickly, chickens and rabbits, they love
Uh,
reproducing. So
right.
that's
And they also, or they lay eggs every day,
right. Yeah, lay eggs every
right?
day.
Yeah. So even if you're not eating them, you have a protein source.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I love for years, decades actually, I've been eating egg whites. I love egg whites. I was in the fitness industry for a long time. I was a competitive bodybuilder, and I ate 22 egg whites a day for
Oh
years.
my God.
Yeah. So my cholesterol is probably through the roof. But granted, I only ate the whites. I didn't eat the yolks, so I'm praying it's
You'd
not.
need a lot of chickens.
Quite a few, quite a few. I don't eat nearly that much not nearly that much anymore, not these days. But I do like eggs. I still like. Surprisingly, I'm not sick and tired of them. What about the fish? I mean, you got sources of fish right around there. Are you a big
Yeah.
fisher?
Well, once again, you have to be good at some things. So I've tried fishing off the dock here, and I've tried trolling around for some salmon. But to be fair, I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't have the right tools, the right stuff. And then I went out with a couple friends, and it's like, how long is it going to take us? My friend was like, how long do you think it's going to take us to catch something? Like, I don't know if I'm prepared to hang out here for that much longer. It's been a long day. And he was like, give us a second. It was like 30 seconds. Boom, first salmon, nice big pink salmon. And then maybe 20 minutes later, second salmon,
Huh.
huge salmon. So he knows what he's doing and he's got the right gear, right? And it's not far from here at all. But just gotta know what you're doing. I'm
Gotta
learning.
hang gotta hang out with that guy a bit more. Big salmon.
Mm-hmm.
I was another
Mm-hmm.
going back to the show alone. Dr. Nicola Palian. She was on two seasons of Alone, two episodes of Alone. She's phenomenal. She's world renowned. She does Nicole's Apothecary. Have you ever heard of Wazoo Survival Gear? Wazoo
Mm-hmm.
is we partner with Wazoo. These guys are great. Nick and Dustin, the owners. I mean, these guys are absolutely phenomenal. They're based out of Colorado. Um, we see them a couple times a year. I'll be seeing them in a couple of weeks down at Georgia Bushcraft, the big bushcraft event in the country for the year. Well over 1,000 people there, so it's nice we get to hang out and cut loose a little bit and kind of have some fun. But those guys have developed some really cool things in the industry. I actually have one of them sitting right here. They're Ranger bands. Anytime you're packing gear up, it's kind of like some super duty rubber bands. So I have a downstairs office. I have an upstairs office. I'm in my upstairs office right now, but I have a ton of other stuff in my downstairs office, and they have developed a shemagh, a cotton bandana, and shemaghs, they have a million uses. Everything from an arm sling to collecting rainwater to just protecting your eyes from sweat, things like that. And they've developed two of them, Wazoo has, and the first one is for animal tracks. So it's got some major animal prints on it that you might find in the wild, and it shows you, what the sizes are of the animal prints, what animal it is. It kind of has a legend there. And the other one is for foraging for wild foods. And Dr. Nicola Palian was one of the professionals that worked on developing that cotton bandana. And I was at an event about 5 years ago called Flintlock in Rogers, Arkansas. And it was one of the co-hosts was American Survival Company. Two guys named Matt Tate and Joel Graves owned the company together. They were you probably, Miss, I don't have TV. You probably are not aware of the show, the hit Netflix series. They just did one season so far, pretty new than the last year. It's called Snowflake Mountain. And Matt and Joel were the co-hosts of Snowflake Mountain. So they own American Survival Company. All the three of us all graduated together from the same survival school as instructors, back to back to back. And they hosted this event called Flintlock in Rogers, Arkansas, and Wazoo was there. Dustin from Wazoo was there, and he had these cotton bandanas, these foraging bandanas. And Nicole Palian was also there. And I said, Dustin, if you get Nicole, since she's worked on this with you guys, she worked on this to develop these bandanas. If you get her to sign some of these bandanas, you could sell them for twice as much. He's like, it's not a bad idea. And she went on alone, a couple years later, and she did phenomenal. And she was catching salmon like crazy. You're permitted to take for a loan 10 items in a pack. You get to pick the items. And one of the items that she took, very, very smart woman, was a fishing net. And she set up right by this creek, and she was catching so many salmon, high protein, high fat,
Oh, yeah.
omegas.
Oh,
Obviously, you
it's
don't have the
perfect.
carbohydrates, but hey, you can survive off high protein, high fat.
It's perfect.
She was throwing food away. She caught so much food that she just couldn't keep it. It wouldn't last long enough. I mean, she was just killing. She's like, look, I mean, big. She's always smiling. Nicole always has this big smile on her face, and she's holding this salmon up. It's like 36 inches long, and she was just absolutely killing it on that show. But she has MS, and her MS symptoms started kind of acting up on her,
Oh,
and so she had to leave the show. But one of the things she does with her apothecary is she develops a bunch of tinctures and salves, and she manages her own MS, and she's been managing MS for people all over the world. There was actually a young lady that flew over from Russia for this event about 5 years ago, the Flintlock event. And you never know there were anything wrong with her. Apparently, she spent about 10 or 12 years in a wheelchair. She was unable to walk.
oh,
And
wow.
yeah, she found Dr. Nicole Palian,
Nice.
Apelian. Dr. Nicole Palian found her online, started following her, reading her books, watching her YouTube channel, reading her blogs and whatnot. And she flew over from Russia to tell her story. And she said, here I am walking today. I was wheelchair bound for the majority of my life. And here I am walking today. I mean, the woman's brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Wow. I love it.
There's a lot
It's
of people in
amazing.
our industry who, have just helped so many people besides themselves by leaps and bounds, by, just what you're doing, Renee, learning the land around them, homesteading, bushcrafting, growing their own food, tending to their own animals, and learning what they can do with their, surrounding environments.
Yeah, and learning the medicinal properties. So what we're going through in Canada is, I don't know if you know, but like I'm a medicine woman of sorts, I'm going to call myself. And I work with specific remedies that help clean out the body of toxins and help heal the body. But they are they're passing laws. They've been threatening to do this for a long time, but now they're passing laws which is going to annihilate my ability to be able to purchase any of those. And we'd have to go to a MD, like a doctor, to be able to get vitamins.
So you've got to
So
get a
that's where,
prescription in order to do
what's
that.
that?
You have to get a prescription. It's got to be prescribed by an MD.
That's right. Right. So it's going to, in a sense, pretty much, I don't want to say annihilate because that's a big word, but it's going to take my business down as a holistic healer to very limited. It's going to allow me to do energy work, but I won't be able to use any remedies. And that's like a big part of how I help people heal. And so back to the learning what grows around us and starting to make our own tinctures and our own things for our own survival, because never mind my clients, I won't have any for myself either.
That's horrific. I mean, they're basically making homesteading and living off the grid illegal these days. I mean,
Yeah.
they did it more than a decade ago. I want to say it was in Colorado. I, don't quote me on that, but I believe Colorado, the state of Colorado, it was illegal to live off the grid. You have to pay an electric bill. You have to pay a water bill. You're not
Right.
allowed
And
to live
there's
off of God's land. You're not.
And I know there's places that make it illegal for you to collect rainwater.
Yes, yes, it absolutely is. It's
Yeah,
illegal.
yeah.
I mean,
So
come on.
they've been moving.
The government
Sorry,
owns
go
the
ahead.
rain. I mean, come on.
Yeah, yep, yeah. They've been moving towards that here with all the things that have been going on in the last 3 years. It's very clear that they want to make it so that if they want our land, first of all, they can come and take it. But also, they have been doing things like making feeds so expensive that the farmers can't feed their animals, and they've had to bring their animals in to get culled because they can't proceed. or they've made it so that they will come to buy your animals, but then you give up your right to ever own chickens again. So there's all different kinds of things at play right now that people don't really know. Or specifically at home here on the Sunshine Coast, but also on the Gulf Islands and the Big Island, they have made it they have stopped water usage. So because we've been in a drought situation, they've told farmers that they have to apply for a water license or whatever it is. But some of them who had applied 4 years ago, they still haven't had word. They still haven't had it, validated or whatever. And they just shut them off. They just shut off their water. That's it. So now they're expected to truck in water. And this is all under the guise of environmental. Well, I mean, let's look at that for a
ESG,
minute.
environmental social governance. That's what some of the other countries have moved to, and that's what I know, at least of course, I'm not up to speed on exactly what's going on in Canada, but I know that ESG has tried to make its way into the United States. Again, environmental social governance. And basically, an ESG score is the same thing as it's going to be the new credit score. So, your
Mm.
scores, if you're in the top,
Hmm.
hey, you're great, middle tier, we'll deal with you, lower tier, not so much. And it's kind of the same thing. And what's going on? Are you familiar with ESG?
So we don't have that terminology here, but everything that passes through the local government comes through the lens of climate change.
So that tells me that it's probably on its way. It's in the mail.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
and
It's the global agenda. If it's over your way, it's coming over here. It's just a matter of timing.
yeah. So let's say, for argument's sake, that ESG has a hold on everything. And let's say it has a hold on your business. What it sounds like that's already what's going on with as far as your holistic treatments and your healing. And let's say it's got a hold on the self-reliance industry, which you're also dabbling in with survival chicks. I work in, that's my profession. Now, if I have, let's just go on a round scale here, and let's say 1 to 100, and let's say 90 to 100 is the best rating you can have. Now, if you have a rating of 91 for your ESG, and I don't know exactly how these ESG scores are going, that's why I'm using round numbers here. If you have an ESG score of 91 and I have an ESG score of, say, 68, we couldn't be doing this right now, because if the government found out about it, you would be docked points. Your ESG score would go down because you're
Right.
communicating with somebody who has a low ESG
So
score.
it's a social credit score,
Exactly.
and it's going through the environmental protocol as well.
Yes. And they're doing it
Yeah.
over in China. They're doing it in certain areas of China, if not
Oh
all of them.
yeah. Yeah.
And we all have a cell phone, right? This is everybody's ear tag. And what's happening now over in China is that, again, let's say you and I are over in China and we're standing next to one another at the subway. I don't know you, you don't know me. Your score is 91, my score is 68. You're going to get an alert on your phone that says, hey, Brian's ESG score is 68, move away from him. What are you going to do? You're going to move away. It's basically like I have become a leper, or anybody with an ESG score has become a leper. And that's what's going on. And it's trying to trickle over to the United States. I'm sure it's headed its way into Canada right now. There
Oh
are,
yeah.
I would say, 4 states here that have embraced that. And the majority of the states so far have said, no way, we want nothing to do with it. But it's in the mail. It's coming.
Yep. Yep.
It,
We
it's,
haven't heard that specific terminology, but yep.
yeah. And you and I were talking before we hopped on this call here about kind of the socio-political climate that's going on right now, which it's bad enough with who we have in office here in the United States. The corruption, it's just unbelievable. Now, it's been going on for a long time. It's just
Mhm.
with the information age, it's becoming more the wool is being pulled off of more people's eyes now than it has been in the past. But there's no doubt that the people who are in office here in the United States are by far some of the most corrupt people on the planet. And you have these wars that have been going on. And what just happened, today's Tuesday, on Saturday, the terrorist group Hamas declared war on Israel. And the number of people there who have been murdered and killed. And I mean, just earlier today, I read the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, found a small village where 20 babies had been beheaded. They're killing men, women, children, infants. They don't care. They're killing everyone. And it's horrific what's going on. And what we see going on and what the news is, is putting out there for all of us to watch, it's a smokescreen. There's no doubt that these horrific acts are taking place. And I'm not saying that it's not happening, but there's more going on behind the scenes.
Right.
A lot more.
Exactly.
I've had contacting me saying, hey, listen, there are just literally in the last 48 hours saying, hey, keep your head on the swivel, because there are a lot of things that are going on here in the United States. There are 26 terrorist training camps within the United States that have been active for a number of years now. And the United States knows what's going on. They're not doing anything about it. Now we have, according to the Biden administration, a secure border. There's no secure border. They're letting Palestinians over, basically whole companies, military, meaning the military companies, over, in droves, just in droves. And it's been related to me that before too long, there are going to be some coordinated attacks, I think, within our country from the Palestinians. Now, listen, I don't know anybody from Palestine. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. It's not, what one bad apple is going to make everybody look bad. It's just like the police force, law enforcement. You get a lot of people that have a lot of law enforcement officers who believe that they're above the law, and it makes everybody else look bad. I have a great number of friends who are in LEO, and I know it reflects poorly upon them. And it's not to say that all Palestinians are bad, but those are just the reports that I'm getting. And I've got some really, really close friends from Israel, some guys I've trained with over the years, some really, really great guys. I've had some friends, as you and I were talking before we jumped on this call, who have gone back to Israel, who live here in the United States, have been in the United States their entire lives, and went back to Israel to visit family, and then never came home because they were victims of terrorist attacks. And they lost their lives. Some people I know personally, some people I've trained with over the years. And it's unfortunate, the state of not just the United States, but the world and everything that's going on. It's just horrific. It's really, really bad.
Yeah. So you're asking why I moved out to the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
that's why I moved out to the middle of nowhere.
God bless.
Yeah, for sure. I just thought, yeah, we got to get away from all of this. And also, I've always wanted to live closer to the land, I'm going to say. It's definitely what I'm doing here.
Growing up, I mean, how did you grow up? I mean, were you a wild child? Were you a child in nature? What was your upbringing like?
No, I think I'm just like I'm just a free bird. I'm just that person who does things differently than everybody else, especially comparatively to the rest of my family. So, I mean, they exposed me to camping. We did a lot of camping and we did a lot of traveling and stuff like that. So, but at the same time, my mom and dad come down here and they're like, this is a bit much. Like, why are you doing this?
Now, where do you
know that
you have siblings, I'm assuming, huh?
I do not.
Yeah. You're the only child. So your parents just kind of come to this kind of culture shock to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Like, why? And then they're just frightened, right? So they're like, oh, if you lose your job, and it's like my summer job, it's not where I make all of my money. They're like, well, if you lose your job, like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna have no money. I'm like, okay. Tone her down 20%. We're gonna be fine.
They've got to scare you. That's what parents are for.
The fear. Yeah.
It's not the fear of God, it's parental fear.
That's right.
But you're loving where you're living. You think you're going to do this full time? You think you're going to do this for the rest of your life? Or are you just going to see, where life takes?
What? I am, I have a fear of commitment. So I'm not going to say that I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. I'm not going to commit to something like that, Brian.
Well, I've always said, go ahead.
I'm just going to do it while it feels right. And if it doesn't feel right anymore, or, I'm in the middle of this reno project, if like I find something that's more suited for me somewhere else and I feel like moving there, then so be it. Like my friends are like, "Oh my God, it's your forever home." I'm like, don't ever say that.
So you
I want to be
saw,
locked in.
yeah, I've always said I'm not afraid of commitment. I'm afraid of commitment to the wrong thing, and
Oh,
that
there we go.
that wrong thing that thing can alter. It can change over time. Over the,
Right.
you know,
So it was right. It was working, and then it's no longer right because the course of your life is changing or whatever, right?
yeah,
So we
and
have the right to change our minds.
we do the right to change our minds. And as they say, knowledge is power, and the more knowledge we have, I mean, look at what happened, a number of years ago with COVID. About it'd be almost 4 years ago. And everyone's, oh, the shot. Now I know you and I are on the same wavelength as far as that. It's no, 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 no. My mother, I literally just got a text earlier this afternoon, and my mother has COVID for the second time. And she has both times, she had had the vaccine prior. Now, if you had the vaccine, you're not supposed to get COVID, right? We know how that
Well, that's
goes.
what they said at first.
Yeah. And now they're coming out and saying, well, no, it doesn't really prevent you from getting COVID. Yeah, no shit. Because a ton of people who got the vaccine are getting the virus, they're getting COVID. So again, people become smarter over time. Well, let's hope people become
Yeah.
smarter over time, a bit more educated. So the more you know, the more knowledge, the more power you have, the more knowledge you have. And what we knew 3 years ago, we never thought that things would
Yeah.
change. A lot of people didn't think that things would change, but they have changed. So now
Yeah.
we're making more educated decisions on the information that we have.
That's right. Yeah. So I think it's coming back around, and I hope that this time a lot of people are going to be a little more educated or think through their actions more.
I sure hope so. I hope so. And
Yeah.
the apparel that you've been making there, I absolutely love it. I've got some of the shirts I was actually wearing about a month ago. I was wearing my I Dig Survival Chicks t-shirt.
Yeah, you
Uh,
were.
and I got a couple of comments on that one. They're like, you dig survival? I'm like, I'm in this whole survival thing, and they're like, all right,
That's great.
a couple thumbs
This
up.
is like one of the ones that I make. This is not, I can't take credit for it, but Freedom Over Fear.
I saw
This
that. Like,
particular like design is not mine. I had Freedom Over Fear before, but this is one of my friends, and so I wear it, and then I make a similar one.
I like it. I really like it.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah, thanks. I'm
and then
glad.
the sheep one. What was the one you got that's got the sheep on it?
Don't engage the sheep.
Yes. It's perfect. I love it. I get
Uh,
on the same wavelength. I love what you're doing. I love everything you guys stand for.
oh, that's amazing. I'm so glad. I'm super excited to get my box. So
We'll go.
now,
We'll send it out to you tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Wednesday. Yeah, we get out to you.
yay. And so they're all on the Waypost website now.
Yeah, they're on the Waypost website. We've got some phenomenal graphics up there. Our marketing guy, Ryan Ricochet is his name. Don't ask me to spell his
Ryan's
last name.
amazing.
I couldn't. Oh, he's incredible. Ryan
Yeah.
is just the best. And he does all the graphics, he does all the video work, he does all the photography for us, and he's running all of our Facebook ads. He's just really, really great guy.
And so what are your other boxes that you have?
So we've got a total of 5 boxes: the Survival Chicks box, the Bushcrafters box, Campers box, the Hikers box, and the Foragers box. So it all kind of
Cool.
targets for what the name is. So it's kind of, it's really great for something as we're leading into the holidays. If you're kind of out of ideas for
Mm,
whether it's the guy in your life or the girl in your life,
I like it.
a lot of foraging. And there are some phenomenal people on both the male and female home fronts, but the females seem to be, in my experience, the females seem to just dominate that whole arena as far as foraging. There's a girl named Rachel.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really well. And it goes back to what they said in the primitive times, the hunters and gatherers. And basically the men were doing the hunting, the women were doing the gathering, the foraging. And it seems really to hold true. Women just really they have a knack for it. And I believe it's because women have far more patience than men. I mean, you do. Women have far more patience than men. We don't have any patience, right? Yeah.
That might
You,
be.
you can spend definitely you you can spend any male, female, any being could spend literally an entire lifetime studying flora and fauna and still not know everything.
Sure, of course.
There's a great woman. Her name is Rachel West. She's out in the Ozarks, and she has a company called Eating the Ozarks. And she's on one of their, local TV networks, and she's on like a couple times a month, where she brings, whether it's a thistle plant, something green, or she's bringing wild onions, or she's bringing chicken of the woods or chanterelles or whatever it might be. She's bringing some sort of foraging thing to the table. She's teaching people how to cook it, what to cook, how not to cook it, what you can eat, what you can't eat. And it all starts with books, it all starts with getting educated. And there's a really great book called Botany in a Day. And that's where everyone should start botany in a day. You can pound this book out in 1 to 2 days, and it teaches you the basics, the ground level stuff of what you want to learn, and you build your way up from there. But foraging, each of these boxes are between, I'd say, 120 and $200, somewhere in there. So something like the foraging box, it's got a little foldable collapsible foraging pouch, wax canvas foraging pouch you can put right on your belt. So it's got a little snap on it. It opens right up, and as you're going along, you can grab your mushrooms, or you can grab your thistles, or whatever it might be, and you can put it right in your pouch. You got a little drawstring on it. It's got some books as far as education. It has a hori knife for digging up your wild edibles or wild medicinals, whatever it might be. So that's your forager box. Your campers, it's your basic stuff for camping. You're going to be camping over a fire, so you've got some basic things as far as fire starters.
Right.
Signaling. Hiker's box has a magnification glass and a mirror for signaling. You got a ferro rod. You got some fat wood, fire starting sticks, things like that. So each one of those boxes kind of has something hyper targeted for what the audience is, for what the name of the box is.
Yeah. Well, that is really cool, because when I think of like getting gifts for people, I'm at a place where I just don't really, I'm trying to be more minimalistic, and living out here, I don't really need the same stuff that I did in the city. I just have I have no use for a lot of the, I don't know, commercialized stuff, if you will. And then I don't have TV, so I don't watch any of the commercials. I don't even know what's out there. There's no mall, there's no shopping center here, there's nothing to buy here.
So
So
what
when I
you're
think
saying is,
of like,
if I wanted to get you a Christmas present, $100 gift certificate for a Netflix series is not going to be the most optimal gift, is what you're telling me.
not going to do it.
I'm not going to do it. No Snowflake Mountain for you. Gotta look that up. Look at it on YouTube,
No.
please.
And then usually I end up buying something online because, like I said, there's nowhere to go here. I have to travel quite a bit to get anywhere, and they don't really have anything anyways. And so
Yeah.
then I think if I wanted to get something for a friend of mine, let's say in exchange, like sometimes a friend of mine does a lot of good work for me, and like, what do I get in return to say thank you? And then I don't like buying all these material things that people don't even need or don't even care to use sometimes. They just put them on a shelf or something. So something like that, where like it's going to come in handy, especially if you have an interest in that sort of thing.
Yeah. And you never know.
Yeah.
Some people don't even know an interest until they don't know they have an interest until they just kind of set a half a foot in there, a toe in there. Like I said in the beginning of this conversation we've had, I had no idea that I had any interest in survival. Now I do it for a
Yeah.
living every day.
Yeah.
I did a little 5-day course. You say, yeah, let's see how I like it. I'll take some modern amenities. I'm like, oh God, I love this. Like, it was great. And it's almost like a permanent insurance. If I get trained well enough,
Yeah.
I know that if the shit hits the fan, or when the shit hits the fan, I'm good. Like, I'm good
Yeah.
to go. Now, you always have, everybody loves gear, right? Oh, the gear, gear. Listen, there are a lot of gear junkies out there, but doesn't matter what kind of gear you have. The best gear in the world will never out trump quality training. It won't.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can
100%.
get the same gear from back in Vietnam. 50 plus years ago, and somebody who has top-notch training versus somebody who has top-notch gear today but no training, there's no comparison. Those who have
Yeah.
training know what's going to happen. Yeah.
So, having said that, then I know that you go to a lot of events and sometimes you put on events for training. What have you got coming up?
Well, like I said, I got home about 2 days ago from the Central Ohio Outdoors Gathering. Great gathering. It was my second year there. Um, Great people, really great friendly environment. Caleb Thompson, he's the guy to check out on Facebook, again, Central Ohio Outdoors. So this weekend I've got a local gun show here. Now gun and knife shows, it's kind of, same church, different pew type of thing. Yeah, there's a lot of guns that are there. No, we don't sell guns, we don't sell ammunition, we don't sell tack vests, nothing like that. Some of the stuff that's behind me is my own personal stuff. But people love the self-reliance aspect of it. And I get comments, I get some pats on the shoulder just about every show that we do, because we always have a really great setup. We have really great products, really great choice of products. So people love what we do. So I've got a number of gun shows from now until the end of the year. A couple in Virginia, a couple local here in PA, one in Morgantown, West Virginia, Georgia Bushcraft. So down at Watkinsville, Georgia. It's about 2 hours directly east of Atlanta, if I remember correctly. Great guy there. His name is Casey Deming. And Casey has been on his farm. I think he's the 8th generation been there. I mean, they've been there forever. And he and his wife do the homesteading thing. They got a couple of kids, really great family. Just check out Georgia Bushcraft. Just Google Georgia Bushcraft. You'll find these guys. And they put on the largest event every year. They have a spring camp out, and they do every year they do something for the companies. And you have to be invited to this. It's the co-op, and I was invited to it the last few years. Unfortunately, I had some other commitments that I had to tend to. But it's where vendors and companies can kind of get together and share kind of, hey, this is our manufacturing company for patches. This is our manufacturing company for bags. This is what we found works in this niche. This is what we found works on this social media platform, things like that. But they do that spring camp out, but the really big one is the fall camp out. Fall and bushcraft. It's the end of the season. Everybody wants to cut loose and have a good time. And last year was Georgia Bushcraft's 10th year, or 10th anniversary. Like I said, I think they were expecting about 1,200 people, and I think they got over 1,400. This year, I'm sure it's going to be even bigger. They got different fires going all over the place. They have massive giveaways. They probably give away more than 100 products. They've got coffee all day long. They've got some drinks at night. I think they've got some beers going on at night. People come with fancy RVs to set up, and people come with just hammocks. They're just primitive style. Some people just sleep on the ground, and they've got vendors all over the place. Wazoo's there, Grail is there. We're there every year. Pathfinder's there usually. They got some really, really good company, some really great people. Fuel the Fires is there. Really great company. Guy named JJ Morris, awesome guy. He used to partner with. He used to work for a company called SARcraft, SAR Search and Rescue. SARcraft is there every year too. Really great company. Really great guys. Alex Bryant. He started that company, founded that company. Awesome guy. I mean, everybody in this industry is just really, really great all the way around. And if you have the time to travel to Georgia, like I said, it's about 10 hours for me. If you're an hour away or 10 hours away, some people actually travel from as far as Oregon to get to Georgia. That's where everybody goes. And it is just a hell of a time. It's the first weekend of November every year. So for all of you listening out there, if you have the time, hop in the car, hop in the RV, take a plane, whatever you got to do, and get down there, because it's really a blast.
Sweet.
Yeah,
That sounds like fun.
it really is.
Okay, that's the next one you got coming up.
The classes they have are just incredible. They
Oh,
have
wow.
3 different tracks at any given day. They'll give you a list, several pages long. Like, if you want to learn primitive trapping, go over here.
Oh, cool.
If you want to learn primitive shelters, you go over here. They have stuff for kids. They have a bug hunt for kids. Joe Flowers is there every year. He's with Condor Knives, Condor Tools. He's probably designed, I would say, half of their knives, half their tools. He's an awesome guy. He takes people into the jungle every year, I think into Peru every year. But he's there with his kids. He does like a bug hunt every year, and they have an astrology thing when they bring out this like I mean, it's huge. It's not just like, hey, I'm going to point out this constellation. They bring out this massive telescope, this kind of on wheels. Somebody brings it out of the back of their vehicle, and they put it up on a big screen. Somebody brings up a big screen and they, basically a prompter, and they put it up there. I mean, it's really, really cool stuff. So it's not just hang out and walk around. Like you're going to learn stuff. If you don't want to learn this, well, hey, you got two other options at the same time period. So come down, learn some skills, dabble your toes in it, and see what you might be interested in.
Yeah, see what you like.
Yeah.
Well, that's super fun. I love it.
You got to get down here.
Yeah, it's a little far from here.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. Yeah,
I'm working on getting myself situated so that I can leave, because like having a homestead by myself, a
yeah,
little tricky to leave sometimes, but working on some solutions there. So
yeah. It's like farmers. The only time they really get a day off is
yeah, yeah, exactly. But I'm working on it.
oh, well, I'll tell you what, you're living the dream that a lot of us really wish that we could live. And
I'm living the dream.
I think at the end of your journey, you could probably write a book. I think you should write a book.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could write, well, I like writing like little snippets, like what happened today?
Do
What
it.
happened today when I lost the engine on my boat and I was cruising around in the dark for a little bit? What happened today?
That could be the title of your book. What happened today? A day in the life of homesteading.
Yeah, that's a good one. Because every day there's like, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What's this now?
Good friend of mine, Jason Marsteiner. I think, as you know, that we partner with about half a dozen schools around the country, really great instructors. And Jason Marsteiner is a really good friend of mine. We've been friends for almost 10 years now. We went to survival school together. He's had a brand. He owns both brands, slowly transitioning from CMM, Colorado Mountain Man Survival, over to TSU, the Survival University.
Ooh.
And he's in Colorado. He pretty much has a lockdown on the whole state. I mean, he runs some phenomenal classes, has some really, really great instructors. Even for his medical classes, wilderness first aid and things like that, he actually brings in a helo. They fly a helicopter and they land it up in the mountains, and they do a mock med evac where somebody plays the victim and you put them on a stretcher, you assess everything, put them on a stretcher, and you evac them out. And they bring in a real helicopter, really cool stuff. And he wrote a book. There are so many books out there called The Wilderness Survival Guide. And his is, we sell it on our website, survivalgear.us. It's about this big, little blue book with some yellow lettering. And he covers, if you have no idea where to start, or even if you're a novice, it's a really great book to have. He covers the bases of everything. Where you want to start with your socks, your pants, your shirt, your clothing, your backpack. What kind of knife you're going to bring? What kind of water purification system you're going to bring? What you want to look for whenever you're going to set up your campsite. I mean,
Wow.
the basis of all of it. So he spent quite some time authoring this book, and they kind of have little lessons, little checkpoints at the end that have bright yellow pages in them, and it's kind of a little kind of like a quiz at the end of it, and they have little check boxes where you can say, hey, I have this, or hey, I don't have this, or this is something I do want to get or don't want to get. I mean,
Good learning opportunity.
yeah. And with all the lessons, you should really start keeping a journal. If you don't keep one, you might keep one. But if you don't keep a journal, you should really start keeping one, because I
Keeping a
think
journal. I
somebody
like it.
who's gone from, living the lifestyle that you live to living the lifestyle that you do now. I mean, you could put out so many lessons.
I like it.
I would buy it. I would sell
I'm
it.
gonna keep a journal. Okay. Well, I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna be the first purchase then.
I'm going to hold you to that. I better be in my hands first.
Excellent. I'm gonna start by writing a journal. I like it. Thank you for that
You
thought.
should. You should. I'm gonna be the start to a great book, because I think a lot of people want to go from living a life in the suburbs or a life in the city to a life of peace and quiet, like you're living. And when you just up and did it, you're learning a lesson day by day, and everybody's going to run into those same problems that they have, and how are they going to get out of it? Like you said earlier in this conversation, you can't just pick up the phone and call somebody. You can't just hop in your car and go to a Home Depot or Lowe's. Like, you got to
We
figure it
don't
out.
even have a Home Depot on the Sunshine Coast. People call it an island. It's not an island, but it feels like an island because you have to take a ferry to get here because otherwise the roads would be way too high up. It would take forever and you got to cross waterways and stuff. So there's a ferry that gets us here faster. So it feels like an island. And then on top of that, I take a boat from the main little town over to the other side, which is also the mainland, but there's no roads down here. So that feels like even more of an island because now I had to take my own boat to get here, right? So yeah, totally
So
out
how
secluded.
often do you take that boat?
Oh, like every day.
Every day.
Yeah. Like we had Thanksgiving dinner here last night, and so there was a couple friends here, and I had to drive one of them back this morning. It's not far, but I still got to drive people around, which also ensures that nobody's doing a stopover. Nobody's just popping by
Well, that too. You've got a bit of
unless
security.
they, yeah, unless they got their own boat, but that means they're in the community, of course.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's good. Know your neighbor, and you certainly know your neighbors. There's a few of them that you can know them pretty well, I'm sure.
Yeah. But then the water adds an extra aspect of learning as well because it is to be respected, right?
Always, always.
Yeah.
They say a little bit of water never hurt anybody, but a lot has.
But it's a
Say it
good
to me all the
one.
time. It's raining out. Don't you want a raincoat? I said, no. A little bit of water never hurt anybody, but a lot has.
Yeah. Nice, Brian. I like it. You're doing a lot of really cool stuff.
Well, so are you. As soon as you have that book out, you let me know. I'm going to be interested to read it. Yeah, anytime we have anything new coming up, I'll certainly keep you abreast of what's going on. What's going to come up for 2024. We're not sure what's going to come up yet. It's always changing, it's always evolving. We're going to be putting out our tactical stockings as we do every year. We have a couple different stockings we put out, and we usually try to partner with for some sort of philanthropic event. Last year we partnered with, actually, it's my next door neighbor's son is with a company called, he does it in his spare time, called Elliott Acres Therapeutic Rides, and it's a local equestrian farm here, and then they have horses, and they work a lot with both kids, mostly kids and adults, and mostly kids who have disabilities. Learning disabilities or just developmental disabilities. A lot of people on the spectrum, things like that, and it's a lot of therapy for them is what it is. Even soldiers who have PTSD, they find a lot of solace in working on farms and working with animals, working with horses. It's just very peaceful for them. So what we try to do is, for each stocking that we sell every year, we donate a portion of that over to whichever company or whichever philanthropic entity that we partner with. So we try to give a little something back to the community every year if we can.
I love it. That's
It's not,
amazing.
you got to give some too, got to give some.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what we've
That's
got
why
coming up
we're
at the end of the year. But whatever's going on for 2024, I will certainly keep you abreast of what's going on.
That's great. And then so just to reiterate, if we wanted to find you, how would we do that?
Either Google Survival Gear BSO or go to survivalgear.us. You can also go to the new website, especially for the boxes, waypostoutdoors.com. And also,
Waypostoutdoors.com.
and you can find it on social media, Instagram at Waypost Outdoors. And when you get the boxes, each one of the boxes here, you're going to find a QR code, which is going to give you 15% off. And obviously, we have the logos and whatnot of everybody that we partner with, which you guys are the ones we partner with for these boxes. The Survival Chicks. On our website on survivalgear.us, you can find training for the Survival University, Primitive Wilderness Survival. They're in Texas, Survival University being in Colorado, Primitive Wilderness Survival with Philip Liebel in Texas, Wild Card Wilderness with Jax Janega, which you and I were talking about prior to hopping on this call. She just finished up about a week and a half ago, the Women's Wilderness Weekend at
Yeah.
Craft. Yeah. All women. She's a phenomenal instructor. She taught for some of the top schools in the country, and now she's a full-time traveling instructor, Jax Janaga. Who else we partner with? We partner with Wild Kind Academy. They're in the state of Washington, and that's also run by a woman. That's Jessica Caldwell. She's a really great instructor. She teaches some really cool stuff. Fly fishing, some unique stuff, fly fishing and foraging for like shell. Well, I guess you call it foraging, hunting for shellfish, shrimp, crab, crawdads or crayfish, whatever you call it from whatever neck of the woods you're from. Um,
I need
Earth
that.
LLC, some really cool companies. So yeah, come check out some of those companies at survivalgear.us. Just go into the training tab and you'll see a link for the schools.
Amazing.
Pretty much anything you want to learn.
Excellent. I'm gonna go back and look at what more you have there. That's really cool.
Thanks. Yeah, we partnered with some really, really great people across the country, and we're very blessed to be involved with these people over the years. I developed some great friendships and some great partnerships with some people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like-minded people, right?
Absolutely. It's like-minded people. And a lot of people think, survival. Oh, you mean guns? Oh, well, listen, that's part of it, but that's not all of it. It's self-reliance, not just survival, but self-reliance. Homesteading, like you're doing yourself. Bushcrafting, building shelters, primitive fire, trapping, hunting, trapping, foraging, things like that. It takes all kinds, and it takes a village. It really does.
Yeah. Yeah. Community. I think community is one of the most important things that we can
100%
have. Yeah.
community. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Local, but also outside of local, other people we can rely on for information, etc.
Yeah. Yeah. And anytime, the shit hits the fan, the SHTF, you always get calls. I get calls all the time from people. Hey, what's going on? What have you heard? You kind of any intel, but everybody kind of talks in our industry, in our community. Doesn't matter how far away you are. Everybody picks up the phone and they connect with somebody that they've trained with or they've had an interaction with. I'm like, hey, what do you think's coming? What can I do? What's your advice? And getting advice from somebody who's in the suburbs or somebody who's out homesteading like yourself or somebody who's smack dab in the middle of the city. Everybody's going to have different advice. Everybody's going to have different connections. Everybody's going to have different intel. So it's great to build, just like you said, it's fantastic advice. Build a community of people.
Yeah. 100%. And if anybody's going to be able to, help you out, it's going to be within your community.
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And there are people who do monthly meets, weekly meets. I think weekly might be
Yes.
tough to commit to, but monthly meets. I know a lot of people
Yeah.
who do that in their community and their surroundings, and they all thrive off one another. They all teach one another. They share information.
Yeah. That's what I'm looking to get into here as I'm meeting my community and seeing who's who and who's holding those meetings. I've
Building
heard
a
of them, just haven't
library,
been yet.
even
Oh,
when
yeah.
are as far away from one another as you are, it's pretty sparse where you're at. But building, like you have in your box here, you have a number of references and books. And, this is one of my shelves. Well, you can't see the front end of it, but one of my shelves here. And it's just 1, 2, 3. I got 6 levels of books all to the way to the wall. And books
Yeah.
of
I just started setting this one up, but same thing. Books, books. And it's now becoming more like foraging, survival, greenhouse, learning how to build a greenhouse properly, all the things.
Well, if you got any questions, about building the greenhouse, I know you said that you're starting to dive into that. I'll get you in contact with who we have here full time for the homesteading. Um,
Totally.
if you got any questions, I'm sure she'll be able to handle the majority of them.
Awesome. That's terrific.
Right.
Well, I'm so glad that you came to talk to me today.
Well, thanks for
You
having
made
me.
some time.
Yeah, it was really a great time. Even though we're like 3 hours apart, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I'm super excited to get my box.
Well, we'll get it in the mail to you tomorrow, first thing tomorrow, and we'll get it off to you.
Woo!
Content on it, give us a shot. Like I said, we're going to be sending off probably 2 to 3 of each box off to some people who have some great social media influence. I'm gonna talk to my friend Jackson, see if the woman who ran the wild card from wild card wilderness, who ran the women's wilderness weekend. I think this box would be really perfect for her. And the fact that it's a female, and like I said, there needs to be a greater representation of females. I'll probably send one of these off to Jessica Caldwell, also from Wildkind Academy, and let's see if we can get the ladies pushing some serious content.
Amazing. I love it.
All right. Well,
Well,
thanks so
thank
much
you,
for
Brian.
everything. I really appreciate it. It's been great talking with you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you so much. Let's talk again shortly.
Sounds good.
Okay, have a great evening.
Hey, you too. Thanks.
Bye.